began glowing, but I was feeling too beat up at the moment to even move or protest. It was only when the pain started reducing little by little that I realized what she was doing. Apparently, healing magecraft, as she called it, is one of the specialties of the Einsborn house. There, all done, she spoke as she got up and gave me some space to move. I lifted myself up and was surprised. While I am still tired from the sparring itself, the bruises and cuts made by Liz are now gone. So, I began, bending my neck to the side. A stiff cracking sound could be heard as I did it. How did I do? She put her index finger on her lower lip and made a thinking sound as she pondered her response. You suck, Shuru, she told me without any restraint. But since it was only a spar and your first time, I will let it slide. I hope Maya can drill in some fighting technique into you. I sighed in defeat. I never considered myself a fighting expert, but I know how to hold my ground in a fight, so it feels rather embarrassing getting beat up like this. Why did you suddenly want me to train like this anyway? Shuru. Her smile dropped and was replaced by a serious look. I already talked to Sela. You somehow managed to awaken a power that allowed you to beat that magician. You did that on your first try and without any kind of formal training. It may have worked this time, but there is a very high chance that you won't be so lucky next time. She walked in front of me and placed her hand over my shoulder. We believed that keeping you in the dark about the supernatural was for the best. We clearly were wrong. We may have failed to protect you when you needed it, but this time we will try our best to be there for you. We may not be able to protect you all the time, so the least we can do is help you get stronger. I stared into her eyes for a few moments. I guess she is right. My memories from the fight are a little hazy right now, but I know for a fact that I used some kind of power. A power which I didn't know how to access should the situation call for it again. I should try to learn how to defend myself. I should become stronger, if not for my own sake, then I should do it for theirs. I understand, I acknowledged as I rubbed my neck. I took a deep breath and looked at the sky. The sun was already up, heralding a new day. What time is it? Eri looked at the watch on her hand. It's 7:30 a.m. Are we done? I still have school, you know. I told them with a sigh. The last thing I want is getting chewed out by my teachers for being late. Yep, and remember, we're doing this again tomorrow at the same hour. She puffed up her chest and hit the ground with the hilt of the naginata, as if to proclaim that was the final word on that. Yeah, I commented as I walked away while waving goodbye to Eri. Supernatural or not, I still can't grasp my mother's personality. I really need to take a shower. Who would have thought that getting your ass kicked can make you sweat like this? As I entered the house and went to the stairs, I noticed that someone was beginning to go down on them. Morning, Sela. I greeted her kindly with a smile. The moment she saw me, she seemed to flinch, her eyes drifting to the side as if to avoid looking at me. Morning. Sela greeted me back in a tired and sad tone. Eri did say that she seemed rather depressed lately, but still, this isn't like her at all. Sela, is everything okay? I asked her, the concern obvious in the tone of my voice. Everything is fine, she said barely above a whisper as she passed by me. My eyes watched her figure as her frail-looking body made its way to the kitchen. Even if you say that you're fine, why did your eyes look like they wanted to cry as soon as you saw me? Just what is bothering you, Sela? This thought echoed in my mind as I got ready for school. Salt. The pastry that I'm eating needs more salt. It was getting late, and after I took a quick shower I didn't have time to have a proper breakfast, so I had to pick up something fast from a local bakery. As I munched on my rather inconsistent breakfast, I arrived at the school gate. I stopped chewing my food as I stepped in the school grounds. Weird. That's the only way I can describe the current sensation I'm having. I can feel something, but I don't know what it is. It's like I know that there's something unusual here, but I can't tell what it is or what the source is. All I know is that it's making my nose feel uncomfortable. Maybe I should ask Shitori-senpai. I brush off those thoughts as I heard the school bell signaling that classes would soon begin. I'm not going to be late today. With that, I picked up my pace and ran the rest of the way. I sighed as I stretched myself out in my seat. Kuzuki-sensei's lessons are as difficult and boring as usual, nothing new there. But I guess some boring and quiet lessons are just what I need right now after the mayhem that I've been through the past couple of days. I rubbed my tired eyes as if to clear my exhaustion. I stayed up late last night reading the book that Senpai gave me. It certainly was enlightening to say the least. I learned I'm in much bigger shit than I could have ever imagined, that's for sure. Hello, Earth to Emiya. My thoughts were cut off by the person behind me. I leaned my head over the edge of the chair and looked at who called out to me. It's always interesting to see things upside down. Hi Mitsuzuri. I greeted my old friend casually. What gives? I've been calling you all weekend and you haven't called me back even once. She complained. She looked at me for a few seconds and let out a whistle. Wow, you look like hell. What happened? Did you get lucky with a girl last night? She smirked amused at me. Real funny. I rolled my eyes. I've been busy. Getting attacked by a homicidal magician and then getting dragged into the supernatural world tends to make you busy. Someone sure is grumpy today. She leaned against her desk. Her head was above mine. You should try getting up with a bucket of cold water when the sun has barely started rising. It sure is a nice way to start the day. Anyway, did you hear the latest achievements of the perverted trio? I could already feel my eyes twitch. What did they do this time? They were caught peeping in the girls' locker room again, but the funny part is that this time they tried sneaking in using the air system and their combined weight was too much for it. Next thing they knew, the three of them crashed right into the middle of the girls that were changing. My eyes half closed at the thought of what must have happened next as a shiver went down my spine. That must have ended badly. Pretty much. You should also take into account that the girls that were changing were from the karate club. She smiled amused at the three boys' misery. Ouch. It hurt even to think about it. I don't want to imagine the beating they went through. While I don't have any personal grudge against them, they do seem to deserve it. She sighed as if bored by their antics. No personal grudge, you say? I rolled my eyes at her. Then what about the time when you caught them peeking at you and the other members of the archery club? A small smirk formed on my lips. Weren't you the one who tried to shoot them down with the practice arrows? That was different, she protested, her cheeks forming a small amount of pink in them. It's always interesting to see a reaction like this from Mitsuzuri. I'm sure it was, I said dryly while enjoying her reaction. She puffed up her cheeks and turned to the side. Did I just make her angry? I'm bored. Want to go for a walk? She asked after about a minute of awkward silence. Truth to be told, I am rather bored myself. Plus I'm feeling kind of sleepy, so a walk might put some life back into my tired body. Sure, why no? Sorry about this Mitsuzuri, but we will be borrowing Emiya for a while. The moment I heard those words, two pairs of arms linked around my own. I looked puzzled at the people who were invading my personal space. The person holding on my left arm is a girl with long brown hair tied in a pair of braids and had a matching set of light brown eyes. She is also sporting a blue headband. She is my classmate Kusaka Rhea. Her desk also happens to be in front of mine, but we don't really talk all that much. From what I noticed from her interactions with my other classmates, she seems like a very polite person. On my right arm is a girl with wavy white hair and blue-green eyes. Unlike Eri or Ilya who have snow-white hair, hers has a small tinge of blue to it. I guess it could be called frost white. Her name is Momo Hanakai. Just like Kusaka, she is also my classmate, but unlike her, she sits in the desk on my right side. I haven't really had too much interaction with her as well, but like Kusaka, it seems she also gets along fairly well with my other classmates. I narrowed my eyes to the two girls that are currently locked onto my arms. What's going on? Somehow Mitsuzuri had just asked them what I wanted to say myself. Kaichu needs to see Emiya here. Since he will be joining us, there are a lot of formalities to be done. Hanakai explained effortlessly to my friend with a smile. What do you mean, Hanakai? Mitsuzuri asked confused. To be honest, I was just as confused as well. Oh right, it might be a bit sudden, but Emiya here will be joining the student council. Kusaka smiled politely to Mitsuzuri. Okay, what? I may have some blanks in my memory, but I for one know for sure that I didn't apply to join the student council. Just what are these two up to? Wait, Shitori Senpai is the student council president. So if these two are taking me there, then it must mean that Senpai might want to talk to me. She did say last night that we will continue our discussion today. She also told me that all the members of the student council are I look at the two girls for a few moments. Seriously. Right under my nose again. Is this true, Emiya? Mitsuzuri asked me. Her expression seemed rather stunned. Does the idea of me joining the student council bother her? At the same time she asked, the embrace of the girls on my arms increased. I think they want me to play along. It's a bit complicated, I will explain later. I smiled awkwardly at her. I will tell you much later when I can come up with a believable story to give you. Let's go, shall we? My white-haired classmate said as she and Kusaka started dragging me away, leaving Mitsu